And now the business news.
On the news this afternoon, President Buhari sends bill on control of small arms, light weapons, explosives to House of Representatives for consideration. The Nigerian Air Force admits involvement in death of civilians in Yobe State. Rivers State Executive Council approves over 5 billion naira for rehabilitation of health institution. CSOs demand total cleanup of all polluted oil communities in Niger Delta region before Shell can divest. On the foreign scene, ECOWAS due to hold summit to discuss political crisis in Guinea. I am Ifeemi Andrew. The Federal Executive Council has approved 38.4 billion for the completion of some inherited road projects in 5 states. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, briefed State House correspondents at the end of the council meeting, listed the benefiting states as Bayelsa, Anambra, Imo, Benue, and Nasarawa State.
They are not new projects. They are projects that we inherited and we are trying to complete. So essentially, they relate to cost revision because of the ages of the contract and the prices of goods that have changed. So the first one was the contract for 13.5 kilometer spur of road from Onitsha, Owerri Road through Okija, Ihembosi, Afo Upo to Ezinifite in Newi South local government area of Anambra State. That contract was awarded in 2011, which is 10 years today, just 13.5 kilometer spur.
The minister said the second contract was for the completion of a 20-kilometer dual carriageway of Yenegua Road junction to Kolo and Otweke and Bayelsa Palm in Bayelsa State. He said the third was for the completion of a road linking Nasarawa and Benue states. Information Minister Lai Mohammed has again said the Twitter ban would soon be lifted. He gave the update while addressing newsmen after Wednesday's Federal Executive Council meeting.
I think even Twitter itself 2 days ago gave a progress report on our talks with them. If I want to quote them rightly, they say it's been productive and quite respectful. And as to how soon is soon, I want to assure you that the time that Twitter's operation has been suspended and when it will be restored is by far much shorter. That I can assure you. In other words, if the operation has been suspended for about 100 days now, I can tell you that we're just actually talking about a few more days.
Over 5 billion naira will be spent by the Rivers State government for the rehabilitation of Professor Kesley Harrison Dental and Maxillofacial Hospital in Port Harcourt. Commissioner for Health Prince Ochike, who briefed newsmen after yesterday's council meeting, said the hospital, when completed, will be an affiliate of the Rivers State University Teaching Hospital for the training of medical personnel. Professor Ochike said the rehabilitation work will last for 13 months.
The State Executive Council approved the rehabilitation, renovation, and equipping and furnishing of the Professor Kesley Harrison Hospital in Port Harcourt. The public has been eagerly watching what is going on in the Mother and Child Hospital, which has been completed and commissioned. The Mother and Child Hospital is yet to take off. The reason being that the Executive Council approved an Executive Council committee that is looking into, together with the Bureau of Public-Private Procurement, to make sure that the necessary processes for a seamless takeoff of that hospital is put in place.
Also speaking, Commissioner for Information and Communications Paulinus Insirim said Council approved that a bill be sent to the State House of Assembly for the enactment of a law for judicial officers to own their own houses upon retirement.
This is a policy of the present administration, a brainchild of His Excellency, to ensure that judicial officers work comfortably and then put in their best to ensure that justice is passed in a very fair manner in the state. To entrench this policy, a bill has been sent to the Rivers State House of Assembly for enactment of a law, so that at the end of this administration, subsequent administration that will come will ensure that this policy is not toyed with.
He also said that the state has been approved as the South-South Zonal Headquarters of the Federal Judicial Service Commission.
The entire South-South will have an officer located in Rivers State, apparently because Rivers State has become the pride of those in the judicial system in Nigeria. The state is to also establish a judicial institute for the training of judges and magistrates in the state. This will complement the activities of the National Judicial Council. This establishment of this Judicial Institute will not take away the activities of the National Judicial Council.
Correspondent Emeka Otuka reports that the Special Advisor to Governor Wike on Special Projects, George Kelly, said the council ratified the approval for the construction of Alabo Graham Douglas campus of the Nigerian Law School in Port Harcourt. International Federation of Women Lawyers FIDA Rivers State has advised stakeholders at the Periama axis of Burukri in Falga to warn the youths to be aware of the punitive measures contained in VAP law against electoral violence. The acting chairman of FIDA in the state, Nenna Igbokwe, gave this advice when the organization took their monthly community sensitization to the area.
Political violence act or an attempted act of violence perpetrated in the course of any political activity, and this includes the issue of thuggery. We have the mugging, we have snatching of ballot boxes, we have the use of force to or injury. Anything that will bring about violence, that is what the law says, it is wrong. And in the provisions of the law, any person who carries out political violence commits an offense and is liable on conviction to imprisonment for a term of 4 years or a fine of 500,000 naira.
Mrs. Igbokwe, who said the VAP law does not protect security agencies, also educated the people on what the law said about sponsors of electoral violence.
Sponsor some of these our young boys to go and commit this crime or encourages them to carry out political violence, everyone must go for it. So we have continued to ensure that the provisions of this law gets to the nook and crannies of our society. Any state actor who commits a political offense commits an offense and is liable on conviction to imprisonment for a term of 4 years or a fine of 1 million naira. Therefore, we truly appreciate our able and dynamic governor and assented to this law.
As the world marks International Day for Preservation of the Ozone Layer, an environmental justice activist, Dumnamene Fineface, said deforestation and use of hydrocarbon has caused depletion of the ozone layer in Nigeria, especially in the Niger Delta region. Dumnamene urged the government to switch to renewable energy and individuals to embrace afforestation.
Can agree with me that the rate at which deforestation is also occurring is contributing to some of these issues too. And because the government have also refused to invest in renewable and clean energy, the entire system in Nigeria runs on hydrocarbon, and that is definitely contributing massively to ozone layer depletion. The country has to begin to look at the possibility of switching from hydrocarbon to clean and renewable energy. This will help to save the environment. The government too should also try to embrace other sources of energy like solar, wind energy, and other things.
International Day for Preservation of the Ozone Layer is marked every September 16. The theme for this year's celebration is Montreal Protocol, keeping us, our food and vaccines cool. Civil society organizations in Nigeria are demanding that before Shell Company concludes its divesting plans, they should clean up all polluted oil-bearing communities in the Niger Delta region. Executive Director of Environmental Rights Action Friends of the Earth Nigeria Chapter, Chima Williams, made this position known during a one-day program to discuss recent happenings in the oil and gas industry.
We are using this opportunity to warn and remind those that are willing or interested or angling to buy Shell assets that, look, we are serving you the caveat emptor. Buyer beware. He who buys assets also inherits the liabilities. If you are going to buy from Shell, be rest assured that the community people of the Niger Delta will not allow you to operate from those facilities until you have cleared up the mess.
The environmental activist also suggested that before Shell Company diverse, the victims of oil pollution in the Niger Delta region must be allowed to make an input. The need for journalists in Rivers State to acquire data journalism knowledge to hold the government and its agencies accountable was the focus of a one-day workshop organized by an NGO, Policy Alert. The executive director of Policy Alert, Tija Botan Akman, at the event tagged Extractive Data Journalism Workshop, challenged practicing journalists to hold the government accountable through the information they feed the public.
Citizens have an opportunity to interrogate the reconciliation of this data, to further use that data to ask government questions, to ask the companies questions. The media, which is an important accountability actor, has not been upfront in its role in interpreting this data. And that is the rationale behind this workshop. We want to see journalists, especially investigative journalists, beginning to utilize this data, creative, meaningful stories, converting it into visually appealing stories, creative stories that make meaning to the ordinary citizens and can be used to hold government and companies to account.
Away from that, the federal government and resident doctors have both agreed to go back to the negotiating table. This is despite the National Industrial Court fixing September 17 to rule on the application of jurisdiction and contempt of court filed by both the federal government and the Association of Nigerian Resident Doctors. At the resumed hearing on Wednesday, after listening to the submission of counsels to both parties, Justice Basha Al-Khali fixed September 17 for ruling. Still ahead, Nigerian Air Force admits involvement in death of residents of Yobe State. Stay tuned.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
The Nigerian Air Force has now admitted that one of its fighter jets on a mission against terrorists bombed civilians in Yobe State on Wednesday. NAF Director of Public Relations and Information Edward Gabquet disclosed this in a statement today, adding that investigation had commenced into the incident. Earlier, the Nigerian Air Force denied any involvement in the act, stating that its planes had not been flying in the area. President Muhammadu Buhari has forwarded 2 bills to the House of Representatives for consideration. The Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, read the letter before the House during plenary yesterday. One of the bill is on the control of small arms, light weapons and explosives and pursuant to Section 58, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The President, in the letter to the House, said the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons Bill 2021 seeks to transform the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons into a national center for the control of small arms and light weapons under the office of the National Security Advisor. The President also forwarded for consideration the Explosives Bill 2021 for consideration before the House of Reps. In business, the Director General of the Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, says Nigeria's total public debt stock rose from 33.11 trillion naira as of March 31, 2021 to 35.47 trillion naira as of June 30, 2021. This shows an increase of 2.36 trillion naira or 7.13% increase within 3 months. The total external debt stock rose from 12.47 trillion naira as of March to 13.71 trillion naira as of June 30, indicating an increase of 1.24 trillion naira or 9.94%. In entertainment, Tonto Dige's ex-boyfriend Prince Gbokpogri is accused of seizing his SUV worth 67 million naira. Gbokpogri says he would use all legal means available to recover his car from the actress. In sports, Derby County are close to agreeing a point deduction with the EFL for breaching financial fair play rules. Should a final agreement be reached, it will see a reduced penalty from that which would otherwise have been enforced, but a reported 9-point deduction would immediately confine them to the bottom of the second tier on -2 points.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
On foreign scene, leaders of the West African bloc ECOWAS are due to hold a summit to discuss the political crisis in Guinea following a coup that ousted President Alpha Condé. Ghana's foreign minister said the ECOWAS leaders will meet today to decide how to respond to the coup and how to pressure the military leaders to return the country to a constitutional rule. On the news this afternoon, you heard that President Muhammadu Buhari has sent 2 bills, one on the control of small arms, light weapons and explosives, to the House of Reps for consideration. The Rivers State Executive Council has approved over 5 billion naira for rehabilitation of health institution. CSOs have demanded total cleanup of all polluted oil companies in the Niger Delta region before Shell can divest. The Nigerian Air Force have now admitted its involvement in the death of civilians in Yobe State. On the foreign scene, you heard that ECOWAS is due to hold a summit to discuss political crisis in Guinea. The news was edited by Noah Bevere. Contact our newsroom on 0818 900 0017. For more stories, visit www.nigeriainfo.fm. Partly sunny weather expected in Port Harcourt this afternoon. My name is Ifeemi Andrew. Thank you for your time.